There we
Right,
go.
happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to episode five, six,
Five.
episode five of Chin Up. Hope you all had a good Christmas. We had a great Christmas, didn't we? We ate a bit too much, though.
We did. But is it too much?
Not if you entering next year's World's Strongest Man. No,
Getting to that 200 kilo mark, yeah?
mate. I was 100 kilos on your scales on Christmas Day, and I haven't been that for probably about 4 years. So yeah, good food though, mate. You did a good beef Wellington. Very enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, it was not blowing my own trumpet, but it was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, good job. Both fell asleep on the couch in front of Harry Potter, didn't we?
Yep, rock and roll lifestyle.
Yeah, it was good. I tell you what, I have to say though, I had one of the worst 3 days of January blues I think maybe I've ever had, and I don't know whether it was to do with like the lockdown news again, or just I think it was that, to be fair. Just that sort of, you wake up and you go, oh god, it's January,
It
and
was all a bit anticlimactic, wasn't it? I think we all had this expectation of, 2020's behind us. And then I don't think we were being unrealistic about it, but I think we were hoping for more positive things, weren't we, going into 2021? And didn't quite happen with a national lockdown about 4 days in.
yeah, it was immediately shit, and then obviously like America's on fire, and it's just terrible news. And I was like, oh my god! So I said to you yesterday, I was like, right, I need to get out. So luckily, I've been out for walks with your lovely girlfriend. I've been doing a bit of cardio, and that has just brought me out of the slump. Because honestly, I was like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh for about 2 days. I just sat at home and was
Really?
just, yeah, mate, really low. But I'm all right. Just obviously when you got plans, I was like, right, let's get on it. Got some filming stuff to do, got travel plans to make, and then within a day it was like, boom, done. And you're just thinking, again, how long are we going to be in this situation for? When's the end point? Because if you've got an end point, you sort of know, and I guess we're closer to it with the vaccine, aren't we? But it's just it's just frustrating, and I guess everyone's probably feeling the same. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was all kind of swept from out from under us, wasn't it?
was a little bit.
But
Yeah, how are
but
you
as
feeling?
you say, the end's in sight, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hopefully, at least that's looking like our most realistic way out, isn't it?
yeah. So what's happened with the gym then? Have you opened, or I guess you didn't open at all because we were still in tier four, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So going from when were we mid December, we went into tier four. So yeah, post New Year was just a continuation of that, really. But obviously, it's now tier four plus, isn't it? And I think a lot of my in person clients have got a lot more childcare issues to contend with now. Makes sometimes training a little bit difficult. So yeah, it's not quite the same as tier four, is it? But like it's certainly from a gym point of view, it's similar to before Christmas and New Year. Yeah,
Okay, mate. So today we were going to do a little Q&A, aren't we? So thank you to all of you who have sent questions on my Twitter and Facebook, and I guess your Instagram and Facebook.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
have you got some good ones? I got a few good ones.
Yeah, brilliant. Good mix of stuff as well, actually.
Do you wanna
Um,
do you wanna kick us off then? What's your first one?
sure. So I think we're all having this problem, and I think regardless of whether in lockdown or not, I think we'd be having this issue. So this one is how to train in lockdown in the winter months. So specifically, dark mornings, dark evenings. So I would say if we can probably break it down into two parts, can't we? So how to train in lockdown. So this is obviously with the presumption that you don't have access to as much kit, or at least not the same training environment. I would say best thing to do is to try and keep it routine, just as you would have done prior to lockdown. So you might have been training straight after work, you might have been training as soon as you get up, and to try and foster some sort of training environment at home as well. So maybe if you're lucky enough to have the space for like a garage or an outbuilding or a room which is perhaps a bit more dedicated to training in, I think that's quite a good shout, just to keep you in that environment which is conducive to training. I think that's a pretty good way of doing it. And then also, as I say, just to elaborate on a little bit more, try and do it at a similar kind of time as well. So whatever routine you might have kept before, try and continue that. And if you haven't yet developed a routine, try and do so. So literally, if you've got a window of time which is particularly convenient, try and just get that going as a habit. So it might be, if it's something you want to prioritize, first thing in the morning before work can work quite well. Or you might be more of right, if you're not much of an early riser, you might want to do it kind of around the 5 o'clock mark after work. But whatever time you do choose, just try and keep it routine. Try not to make it too haphazard and open to chance. I think that's the best way of going about it.
Yeah, first lockdown as well. In terms of exercises, obviously it's difficult when you haven't got access to whatever you normally have in terms of barbell, or if you use machines. But I actually felt like I made some decent progress with just the basics. You know, press ups, sit ups, and leg raises, burpees, like bodyweight squats, and obviously trying to put in a structure where you're still putting in a bit of progressive overload. And obviously you can't do it with weight, so you do it with reps, and you do it maybe with I've just seen Joe Birch, by the way, just walking along, your business partner, or with, say, reducing the rest in between sets, things like that, so that you feel like you've got a plan of this is what I've done today, and I'm going to add a little bit more on tomorrow. And obviously, if you've got 6 or 8 weeks at home, which we may have, you can actually still make a good amount of progress in that time. So use your environment. If you've got tins of beans, doing things like lateral raises or even just light press, it's better than doing it with nothing. And if you're improving the reps and reducing the rest, then you're going to make some progress, aren't you?
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And I think a theme which was very much apparent in our last podcast, talk about injury, try and focus on what you can do rather than what you can't. So whatever you do have access to, use it. So even if it's putting, as you say, Chris, putting tins of beans in a bag for life to load it up. You know, if you want to do some like lateral raises, you might be able to do some bicep curls with it, upright rows. Weights in a backpack can work pretty well for loading up your legs as well. Yes, I'm not for 1 second going to say it's the most ideal thing in the world, but it's probably the best thing we've got, and therefore we've got to capitalise on it. I think that's the thing to remember. And also, you have to think outside the box a little bit as well with your exercise selection. So again, you might not be doing the stuff that you want to do in the gym. So let's say, for example, you're training chest, you love to do bench, but you haven't got a bench and weights at home, then of course you're going to have to maybe start to think about weighted push-up variations, deficit push-up variations, handstand push-up variations, whatever it might be. Just some sort of way to continue overload your pecs or whatever. And then I think as well, so in relation to this question, talking about dark mornings and evenings, it can be that bit harder, can't it, to get yourself up for it in the morning or the evening.
Yeah.
We don't have as much light. You're not feeling quite as awake. You might have like a bit of SAD as well, where you're just not feeling quite up for it. Mood's a bit low, not feeling motivated. But I think again, like the best thing to tackle this, provided that your low mood is kind of like a subclinical level, is just again to get into that habit. You know, perhaps maybe think about doing a bit of exercise outside. I know it's not particularly inviting at the moment because it's freezing. The weather's not on your side, but getting out and about, trying to get in a bit of sunlight where possible, boost that mood, and it might leach over into other aspects. Might make you a bit more up for doing some
Yeah,
training.
that's been a game changer. Like just getting out in, it's quite a nice bright day today. Getting out for a walk and just getting air in the lungs. And like, there's an old phrase that we used to have at athletics: "Be bold, start cold." So if you're going to go on a run, and you kind of feel like you might need 3 layers because it's cold, but actually put a couple on, get yourself moving, because you'll be grateful once your body will get warm, and then you'll be grateful you've got the mobility and stuff of. And you come back and you feel a different person. Come back, have a shower, and then it's like your whole body's reset. You get a sweat on, your skin breathes, you open your lungs up, the blood's pumping, and suddenly a lot of the stress and anxieties and that horrible feeling of stagnation, which we all get a bit over Christmas because it's the time where we relax and we just let ourselves just chill and eat what we want. You almost just want to break out of that little bit of stagnation, and getting some air in the lungs and the blood moving is a good way to do that.
Absolutely, and I think as well, a lot of the time it's the getting started bit that's the hardest part. Once you overcome that inertia and get going, so much easier, isn't it? So, and I think again, if you can prove to yourself that, you know what, I can do it, that habit becomes so much easier to get into play, and it'll get easier each time as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Perfect. What's our next one?
Crikey. Matthew Wilkinson, what is the best mental health advice you've ever been given? Crikey, do you know what? I haven't even thought about that, and I've been given so much good advice. Is there anything you can think that's come to mind?
I think like mental health advice that I've been given to for myself to follow. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I will probably say certainly like in my older years, like since I've started working, is to kind of not put as much high expectation on yourself and pressure. I think especially being self-employed, it's really it can be quite toxic, that whole pressure and attitude of always wanting to do better, always wanting to develop. We've got this huge industry now with the whole like self-development side of things, and it puts that pressure on you to always move forward, always push forward. But actually sometimes there is absolutely nothing wrong, and it's even beneficial to stop where you are, take stock of where you've got to, and enjoy being there, rather than just constantly thinking like, no, this isn't good enough, got to push forward, got to push forward. Because of course, in its very nature, you can only improve so much anyway. Like if you're always chasing that next thing, you're probably going to end up being quite disappointed. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with kind of being happy with where you're at for the time being.
yeah. It's life's a no-win game. It's not like a Monopoly where there's a winner. Like you could become CEO of a company, you haven't won. You have to enjoy the journey and the process, and that's the key. And that's what you said in I think one of our previous episodes about the 666 challenge. It's not so much about the end goal. Of course, it would be nice to do it, but it's about the process. If you didn't enjoy the process, you wouldn't be able to do it, because the commitment it takes, the time it takes, the dedication, and all the little nuances and things you have to get right. You couldn't do that unless you enjoyed it. It just wouldn't be possible.
No,
So
no, for sure.
in everyday life, try and find a routine that's sustainable for you, that you enjoy. One of the best bits of advice, now I think of it, I don't think I've ever been given it, but I heard it and I thought that's such a good point, is that mental health, as we know, doesn't discriminate. But I do believe that you can put yourself in a position to be able to deal with things better by making sure you've got a certain number of things that are in place. And that's, we talk here about exercise and about eating correctly. I know personally, and this is all I can speak from, is that if I eat well, I eat cleanly, and I'm drinking the water that I should, and I'm getting the sleep and the rest that I should, and I've, within my control, reduced the stress that I can to a minimum. If something hits me, if I have a day like I did a couple of days ago where I just feel low, I can deal with it because I'm healthy, I'm of sound mind, my life's good. So if there are things in your life that aren't in place, if you feel that your weight's giving you problems and that's leading to self-esteem issues, start looking at where you're going wrong. Start looking at the foods that you're eating. Start looking at, am I doing enough exercise? What could I be doing with my time? And the number of people I've spoken to that have changed those elements of their lives and realised that that was a big part of their self-esteem and where things were going wrong. And it's not to say that if you're in great physical health and you look good and you've got a good job, that you still couldn't have mental health problems. Of course you could, but you have to give yourself a fighting chance. And if you're putting toxic food in your body, loading yourself up with processed food, sugars, not exercising, you're sitting in front of the TV every day, chances are you're putting yourself in a negative state where you're kind of be more predisposed to, when those problems arise, then spiraling into something that you can't deal with, or you don't feel like you're in a position to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, as just to add to that, is about having that balance present as well, isn't it? So if you let's say, for example, if you do find like you are eating a lot more kind of perhaps treat type foods than you'd like to, just trying to realize that it's not necessarily a case of completely removing those from your diet. It's literally just trying to bring things back into the middle a little bit more, and trying to, as you say, give yourself a fighting chance if you're in a position to do so. So if you are of sound mind, obviously that's fantastic. But if not, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to ask for some professional help as well.
Yeah, good. Do you want to go next?
Yes. Any thoughts on EDT as a training method of hypertrophy? So EDT stands for escalating density training, I believe. And that's basically where you're trying to do a certain amount of work in a fixed time period. So let's say, for example, you have got two exercises. You've got bench press and bent over row. One's training chest, one's training back, to put it quite crudely. And you're going to do sets of 8 to 10 on each, and you've got to do as many sets as you can in 15 minutes. So that's what EDT training is. Okay, so you've got fixed block of time, and you've got an exercise or exercises of a certain reps to do within that time period. So it can be a really useful method for hypertrophy. I think especially if you're prone to struggling to manage your time during your sessions. So if you find it difficult to stay on point, stay on task, you find that you're doing a bit too much, like scrolling through Instagram during your rest periods, and your sessions are just dragging out for ages, nothing focuses the mind quite like plonking a time on your phone and literally just blitzing out some work in that time period. So if we think about what we currently think we need to do for hypertrophy, we need to be working at a reasonable intensity. We need to be making sure that our reps are quite close to failure or at failure. And the more of those reps we can do while still recovering, the likelihood is we're going to get more hypertrophy. So if we're being able to do that within like a fixed time period, then it's going to work really well. But I think the main benefit of EDT is literally from the time management perspective. I don't think there's anything magical about what that time period actually is. But yeah, I think that's probably where the benefit lies. So yeah, if you do want to use something like EDT as a structure for your program, perfect. But it's not like it's not magic.
I do think not enough people sort of use timed rests. And I remember as days as an athlete, the question was rarely what distances are we running for what reps. It was what's the rest, and you soon got to know that it was all about what the rest is, and that once you get fit, you realise that the difference between 2 minutes rest and 3 minutes rest on a given exercise could be a total game changer, and could
Oh man,
actually
yeah, it's a key variable.
yeah, it's a key variable. And I don't think enough people necessarily think about that when they're training. They just think, oh, I've done a set, I'll have a bit of rest or whatever. But actually, is it 4 minutes rest? Is it 2 minutes rest? Is it 45 seconds rest? Because you're going to put different stresses on your body. So yeah, even just the concept of actually timing your rest, if you genuinely want to improve and know, have I actually improved this week? It is, I think, just a really good idea.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just add something really quickly to that one. I think for hypertrophy, it's a good method. I think there's a few studies looking at rest periods on hypertrophy and slot. I believe that slightly longer rest periods tend to be more effective for hypertrophy, but training studies typically are quite poor in their design. Like they don't really use very real world applicable participants. They don't really go on for long enough. So it's really hard to ascertain that the intervention is actually what's causing the difference between two groups of people. But I would anyway, sorry, my point was going to be that for strength, it probably wouldn't be quite so good. I think for strength, it's much nicer to say to yourself, right, I've got to do, this is what my program says. It might be 5 sets of 3 at 85% of my 1 rep max. And I'm not going to give myself fixed rest periods. I'm just going to go when I'm ready. I think that's a better approach for something like strength.
And yeah, because you need the quality there for those kind of reps. It's more about strength than endurance. You need to make sure you're rested and ready for that set.
Exactly.
Yeah. In a not a dissimilar vein, this is a good question. Dan says, when I get to my heaviest set, I worry the previous sets have fatigued me and I'm not able to rep as much as I might have done because of the reps I've done before. However, I can't go straight into a heavy set without building up with lighter sets for fear of injury. Is this a normal problem? Is there a middle ground? Well, I'll start with this because I think that's a common, not a mistake, but it's certainly a common limiting factor for people who are wanting to improve strength at the top end. Okay, let's say you're doing a squat and you're doing 4 sets of 8 and your top sets, for argument's sake, 120 kilos. Well, if that's a 9 RP for you, so essentially quite near your top end, you don't want to waste energy on those previous sets. So you don't want to be doing really 8 sets at 100, 8 sets at 110, and then 8 sets at 120. You really want to save the energy you have got for that top working set, especially if you're close to your sort of your maximal range. So in terms of sets, when we're building up, let's say that top set is 120, we would do something like you do maybe 6 or 7 reps at 60 just to open the legs and the hips up. So maybe 30-40% of your max, just so you feel the weight, you feel the bar, get the legs moving. Then you would do, maybe 2 or 3 reps at 80. You might do 1 or 2 reps at 100. You then do 1 rep at 110, and then you go into your top working set. You find you've primed the muscles, so everything's ready to go. You've gone through the weights, you've got your body used to the load, so it's not a shock when you then unrack your top weight for your top set. You then get your 8 reps done without the fatigue of having done, 24 reps already. Then you can go back and do a back off set, which I think is probably more beneficial. And also, if you were doing a back off set at 110, you might go and get 12 reps there. and it will feel lighter because you've just lifted 120, and ultimately you've hit the best reps at the highest load, which is where you're going to get the most benefit and the gains, and that's where you're going to improve. So I don't know if he's got anything to add to that, but that's my take on that
No, I
question.
mean, I pretty much agree wholeheartedly with that. And I think, you just need to remind yourself what actually is the point of warming up. The point of warming up is to potentiate yourself for that top set rather than for getting yourself worn out for your top set. So as your weight increases, as more comes on the bar, your reps should drop for your warm ups, just as you point out, to get yourself in the best possible position to perform as well as you can for your working sets.
Spot on. You got one?
I do. So, just to give this one a bit of context, mine and Chris's relationship is basically purely based on the Office quotes and Alan Partridge quotes. So that's why this question's asked. Best quote from the Office or Alan Partridge?
But
Or say
okay.
let's do both. Let's say and Brent and Partridge.
Well, what for Alan Partridge? I mean, Christ, it's just that's half my life. This. I think anything that can be used in a practical sense, which most of them can. So I'll often try and put you off. So say we're walking through the door at the same time, I'll put my hand up and go, probably me next. Or I'll tell you I'll just go, close your mouth, Lynn. The Office, to be honest, most of it, the most beneficial element I get of The Office is the looks. So sometimes I'm in the studio and there's people in the press who love The Office, but I can't say anything because we're on air. So say we've like had our chat in the studio, we've thrown to a VT or a pre-recorded interview or whatever, and then I've got 30 seconds. I'll just try and catch someone's eye and just, and that's all. That's all you need. That's all you need, son.
Just a look.
Um, oh, it's just a look, mate, and you just change someone's whole day. So
That is the thing, is it? Like, even though it's superbly quotable, the thing that makes it so good is that for either Brent or Alan, we've all known someone either like them or have mannerisms like them. So as soon as you like might spot something in everyday life and you're with a mate and you can point it out, it's just excellent, so good. And
yeah,
if you're like either of them, you've got problems.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't like either of them. What are you doing with your life? Um, what have we got here? We've got Don, who's asked, are there any lower back strengthening exercises that can be done at home? I suffer horribly these days. It'd be nice to build a bit of extra support around my lower spine. Well, the thing is, it's not just about like your erector spine here, essentially your lower back muscles, but it's really about your core. And I read a couple of studies about like the correlation between core stiffness and you know minimizing lower back injuries. And I think really you've got to see it as one. It's your trunk, isn't it? It's making sure that everything around there is solid. I don't really know how much we can go into specific exercises on Zoom here, but is there any like sources or references you could like supply, JB? Anything you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
do?
I mean, I think the best way to come at this is from my point of view. So I'm a PT and an S&C coach, like by qualification. So if someone were to come to me with pain, it wouldn't be my job to treat that pain. However, training generally should increase someone's confidence. It should increase their muscular strength, both of which may have positive effects on their pain. So, for example, if you feel like let's say you've got back pain, but you come into the gym and some back pain is tolerable to deadlifting. So, let's say that one person doesn't particularly get back pain when they're in extension and they manage to deadlift. And you as your trainer, part of your job is to kind of gas your client up and help them get excited about training and stuff. And they might think, oh, brilliant, yeah, this that set went really well. I'm managing to deadlift. Maybe my back isn't so much of a problem. And they might come in they might wake up the next morning, sorry, and feel like, oh, I'm not in any pain anymore. So that's kind of like the approach I take, rather than say, right, you need to do increase your core stability, your core stiffness. I would just look to get someone moving in a way in which they can do reasonably pain-free and tolerably, and look to get them strong doing those exercises. That would personally be the way I'd look at it. And I think a really good place to start, look, at the moment we're in lockdown, plenty of walking, lots of kind of like movement you can do throughout the day. Try not to just sit in one posture or position. Get yourself moving. look to move your body through like as big a range of motion as you can. So stuff like some body weight squats, some split squats. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good place to start.
Yeah, nice, nice. Um, got a good one here on active recovery. So it's just be good to hear a bit more about active recovery. Eddie Hall once said that training for World's Strongest Man, he would recover harder than anyone. Any thoughts on recovering hard in the absence of quality sleep? I'm not quite sure I know exactly what you mean there, but obviously in terms of active recovery, um, it's essentially, instead of like, I suppose passive recovery is like when you're just static and stationary after a workout and you just let your body completely recover. Active recovery is like, just like you mentioned, really, it's like moving around, walking. You might have a little flush out on the bike, or you might do a little bit of skipping. Just ultimately movement to sort of reduce lactic acid build up in the muscles, eliminate like toxins, keep muscles flexible, moving, which sort of in theory just like reduces soreness and speeds up recovery. I don't know if you've read much on this, but I certainly think from what we've done in our experience, it's a good, certainly a good thing. Like once we've trained, don't just then sit for the rest of the day and stagnate. Get yourself out, get moving, because those muscles are going to go into recovery, and the more mobile you can keep them, the better in terms of your recovery process.
Yeah, I think one important thing to remember as well is if you are having your actual sessions. Sorry, let me start again. If you're training hard enough in your actual sessions, you should be thinking more about doing less for your recovery rather than trying to like actively recovering by doing more. If that makes
Right.
sense. So first off, make sure that the majority of your focus is on your actual training, and then say like, right, what could I actually do to be recovering better? For chances are that it's not going out for a run to flush out your legs. It's not
Right.
sitting on the bike getting carried away. It's not doing like a light CrossFit WOD in the gym that's just body weight. It's probably actually maybe doing a bit of a walk, and eating plenty, sleeping plenty, putting your feet up. I think that's probably the best place to start. There's a really good podcast on it. The Real Science of Sport podcast. I can't remember the episode, but one of them is on recovery, and they basically just go into the ins and outs of it. And they mention a book which is called "Good to Go: How to Eat, Sleep, and Rest Like a Champion" by Christy Ashwanden. Yeah, really, really good book on recovery. But yeah, that's basically the crux of it. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff does not work for recovery, or at least it doesn't work as well as previously thought. Stuff like ice, massage, stuff like that. A lot of it is literally just allowing your body to do its thing, giving it what it needs in terms of calories, protein, sleep. But I know that the question specifically asked, in the absence of quality sleep, didn't it? So maybe this person's perhaps like a parent, maybe, or something like that, or their job is like shift work based, maybe, and it doesn't allow them to get as much sleep as they'd like, or good quality sleep as they'd like. So yeah, perhaps that person could look at other stuff. So maybe making sure that they're eating properly, getting enough calories in, even though a lot of people have this attitude that, well, if I'm not training on rest days, I don't need to eat as much. But actually, calories play a really important part of the whole recovery process, even on those days you're not training. So making sure you're eating enough there, eating enough protein as well, putting your feet up, having naps maybe might help. I think that's probably a good place to start,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
rather than thinking about active recovery itself.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just putting the lights on. Suddenly got really dark here.
That's all right, no problems.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and speaking of that, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about why there's this ethos in it is in boxing really more than a lot of sports. Like people feel like you've got to get up and go for a run at 4:30 because somehow that shows some sort of machismo and actually gets you ahead of the game. But it's kind of I see a lot of overtraining in boxing, a lot of very old school methods. And it's not to say that they're wrong, but it's just we've moved on a little bit, and there's this kind of weird modern ethos sort of came in about 2 or 3 years ago. Like people talk about 5 a.m. clubs and get up at 4:30 and beat the herd and do this, and by 6 a.m. I've done 10K and I've done this, and it's like the thing is that's all very well if that works for you, but ultimately most of us need a certain amount of sleep for a lot of different processes to neurologically, physically, to be ready for the day ahead. And if you're cutting that sleep short by a couple of hours, you're not allowing your body to rest and recover in the way that it needs to. It doesn't matter what you do in those 2 hours. You're not going to be doing it to your best ability, and you're not going to be actually ever really catching up with yourself because you're not letting yourself rest. And these days, I mean, look, I'm lucky because I'm self-employed and I don't set an alarm um, most days because my body naturally wakes up about sort of 7, half 7. But do you know what? If there are days where I wake up at 9 for whatever reason, I just think, well, I obviously needed it because I wouldn't have slept in. And provided you're not wasting your day and waking up at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, if you're getting up and doing what you need to get done in your time when you feel comfortable, that's all that really matters in terms of exercise and in terms of your work, in terms of your day. Don't feel under pressure just because everyone else is saying, "Oh, if you're not up at 5 o'clock, you're getting behind." You're not. It's as simple as that. You've got to do you, and you've got to do things in your time when it's good for you. And believe me when I say I've done both. I used to live with 3 lads, and we used to get up at 5:30, and we'd get in the gym that would open at 5:30 because we were in the city. And do you know what? It was good for a time, but actually over time it compounded, and I felt that I was getting a bit ground down by it and mentally worn down by it and physically tired, and I wasn't recovering quite enough. And these days, I'm getting up a little bit later, and I feel good for it. So, yeah, that was the only other thing I had to add to that.
No, I mean it's a really valid point. There is, even though, as you say, it can seem like the macho and hardcore thing to do, getting up at 12 o'clock and getting into the gym, but actually there's nothing magical about it. Fair enough, granted, if that's genuinely the only time of day you can get your training done, good for you. That's obviously fine. But you also then need to make sure that, right, I'm not just chopping off some hours of sleep in order to get that in. You need to make sure that you're still getting the rest that you need in order to actually make your training effective.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right, this is a really good one. So we'll split this question into two. What's the most pointless training program you've ever done?
I actually think the most pointless training I've ever done was when probably I didn't have a program in the early days and I didn't have a structure. So in essence, it's the absence of a plan and a program that's more pointless than a plan, because at least if you've got a plan, some sort of basic plan, you've got something to stick to, you've got measurable goals, you've got a structure, and you can then assess proper results on some level. Whereas the number of people that and you see it in gyms, like people walking around, hands on their hips going, what shall I sort of do now? And you're thinking, mate, if you haven't got a plan, what's the point of you being here? So for me personally, it's not even so much what specific plan is the most pointless thing I've ever done. It's the absence of that in the early days where I had no plan. That was the biggest waste of my time. And if I could have those 5 or 6 years back from maybe 15 to 20, I would, plan what I was doing, make measurable goals, use the basic concepts that we've talked about through previous episodes of progressive overload, tracking your goals, planning, making sure you've got, food in place and everything else. And if you've got those basics in place, you can't go too wrong. That's the crux of it all.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so yeah, I would probably agree with you. The most pointless program is no program.
Have
That's
you ever done anything that you thought that was really shit?
Yeah, I would say, how old would I have been? Probably about 16, 17.
Yeah.
Would have done a program which would have been like a typical bro split. So obviously chest on a Monday. Obviously, you can't do chest on any other day.
Here's the
Um,
thing. Here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt, but the mad thing about that is that if you go to a commercial gym and you plan to do chest on a Monday, part of me thinks you're a bit stupid because it's like going on a motorway when you know there's going to be traffic. Like you know every bench is going to be full, so you get there and go, oh, well,
yeah,
plan your workouts around when you know all the bros are going to be doing other things.
yeah.
You know,
Get in the squat rack instead. It'll
squat rack.
probably be empty.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
usually. Sorry. Yeah.
Hey,
Anyway.
no, it's fine. So, yeah, would have been typical bro split. Every single set taken to some sort of like sickening level of failure. On top of that, as well, would have been different forms of drop sets. So you're going beyond the point of failure, effectively. Your mates are helping you at the top of each rep on the bench press, lifting
Oh,
weights you've got absolutely no business doing. So, like, we've all been there. But if I'd have known what I'd know now, I wouldn't have bothered.
mad. It's really weird for me to think of you as having a time that you didn't know what you were doing, but then it actually is a good reminder that because you're such a little oracle of knowledge now, and I think, oh, he's been like Yoda for 150 years, he's known everything. But of course, we've all got to start somewhere, haven't we?
Exactly. Yeah, we've all made mistakes, but you just got to learn from them, right? And learn from people who are more knowledgeable, experienced, and you say develop. Don't do stupid stuff in the gym.
No, please. But
basically.
what's the second part of this question then?
Then the same question, but for supplements. So, what's the most pointless supplement you've ever had?
Oh God.
Have you ever been down the route of like expensive pre-workout shakes or anything like that?
No, mate. And the thing is, I actually feel as though, and I think this is really again a similar kind of point. It's if you like too many people, I think, use supplements almost as a substitute for a good training program. Ultimately, hard work, consistency, and a decent food plan are the absolute underpinnings. But so few people have the basics in place, and they're taking Jack 3D and this protein and that creatine, and they're piling it all in. And they're all walking around with their shakes, but they're not really grafting in the gyms. Like very rarely you see people really putting the work in, but they've all got their shakes and stuff, and it's great if you've got everything else in place, and you're trying to get those little marginal gains at the very top level. Then cool. Look at where else you can make those gains in terms of nutrition, and maybe your pre-workouts are going to help you with that, whatever. But mate, I mean, most people I don't think need a lot of that stuff, but for their own psychology, it's almost essential. But I think you need to train your mind to be strong, and you need to get yourself up for your workouts. Nothing wrong. Listen, you and I will often have a black coffee before a workout, and it's nice because I like coffee and you like coffee. But
Hmm.
I don't need coffee to have a good session.
No, 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 no. Of course, yeah. You're not fooling yourself into believing that right. This caffeine's going to absolutely make me tip top, and if I
Yeah,
don't have it, the session's going to be shit. It's not how
yeah,
it works.
exactly. No, it's
Yeah,
not how it works. And if you're listening to this, and any part of you's thinking, "Shit, I'm actually reliant on my pre-workout. If I don't have it, I feel like my session's going to be worse." It's a lot of that's in your head, and yeah, there'll be certain things that might raise your heart rate and get your blood pumping and make you feel. But get yourself up for it. Talk, have a little chat with yourself. Think, right, I've got to do this, and even you and I, like these days, the one thing I've got from you is positive mindset. You never talk yourself out of a set. You're always positive. You're always fixed in. And if I even feel any doubt creeping in, I will chat to myself, and I'm aware I'm doing it, and you're aware I'm doing it. I'll go, yeah, good set, no problem here. We'll get these done. Absolutely no worries at all. And just that little chat for me, that's my pre-workout. So, yeah, I don't listen. I'm not going to get into slagging off supplements and everything else. I don't know enough about them, but for me personally, I just think if you're taking a whole load of supplements, you need to have a hell of a lot of other stuff in place first. And I'm going to bet that a lot of people listening to this advice and watching this for advice probably aren't at that point where they have.
yeah, exactly. And I think also something to remember is that a lot of elite natural bodybuilders, so people who are at the top of their game, as much hypertrophy as possible without the use of PEDs, even those guys, the ones who really know their stuff, don't use supplements, or if they do, it's very, very, very minimal. Like we're probably talking a bit of creatine, maybe some caffeine, and as those two supplements are some of the only ones that actually work, even those ones that work don't work to the degree that people think they're going to work. So
No.
yes, they've been demonstrated in studies to have a significant difference versus without those supplements, but the degree to which they work isn't like enormous. It
Yeah.
just does not work like that. And I think people often placebo themselves to thinking like, oh yeah, this actually makes a massive difference. And it's more about the belief that it works versus the supplement actually doing its thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, to actually answer the question, so when back in the days of this like body part split training, so 16, 17, I remember there was this website I used to go on to loads called T Nation,
Yeah.
American website,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they used to sell their own supplements. But the problem was it's made in America. They didn't sell them over here, so the customs and stuff on it was like extortionate. But anyway, point was their marketing and stuff was so good and so blatantly aimed at like probably 16 to 25-year-old lads. And I was like hook, line, and sinker, right? I'm in. So what I used to try and do was rather than buy the supplement, I would try and find out what the individual ingredients were of the supplement and literally buy it like wholesale and try and make it myself in the kitchen. So
Right.
my mum, being the wonderful, supportive woman that she was, would give me like my own cupboard in the kitchen. I'd have all of this shit stacked up in the kitchen, trying to like looking like something out of Breaking Bad, like a drug lab with all these powders, little like micro scales. And like I really believed that this stuff was gonna do the job, but of course, like it really doesn't. Like because I was essentially focusing completely on the wrong things. And when you're like that age, you've got school to focus on, you've got growing up to focus on, developing like personal relationships, all that kind of stuff, and your your focus and attention is very finite a resource, and it was just completely in the wrong area. So if I'd have focused more on proper decent training program, recovering well, eating enough, all of that supplements and stuff would have been just a complete waste of time.
Yeah,
I could have done better elsewhere.
yeah. Some in that very vein, this is quite a nice question, and I have just made a little list. So someone's put, could you recommend a basic foods list that I should aim for doing some shopping this month? So I mean, look, again, I know you would be keen not to maybe make too many recommendations, but in terms of your basics, like if you've got stuff in your basket, things like rolled oats, eggs, cottage cheese, baked potatoes, and then your greens like kale, spinach, green beans, tomatoes, carrots. It's all obvious stuff. But here's the thing I find: if my fridge is full of those things, I'll eat them. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if my house is full of mince pies and Jaffa cakes, like it has been for the last month, I'll eat those.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to like if you walk around a supermarket, it's easy to make bad choices, but actually make a shopping list of these things and try and stick to it because it's easy to get sidetracked by, as you say, but they sell things really well these days. But you need to get all your basic sort of fruits, veg, and stuff in, just that you can make decent choices. It's good like having a little like hot hummus and some cottage cheese in there, so you've got something to dip your carrots in or whatever. But so that when you're snacking, you feel like I've got stuff I can grab straight away. And then obviously things like so I've just got a NutriBullet, but getting yourself a blender if you don't like constantly crunching through vegetables every day. Make yourself some soups in the winter. It's great. Like it's so easy to do as well. Get them softened up in a pan, get them in the blender, whiz them, a little bit of seasoning, and you're away. You haven't got to be Gordon Ramsay to make nice soups, and you get all your nutrients and everything in there. Um, so yeah, that's my just in terms of the basics. Get those foods in your fridge, and you'll find actually they're not so bad. But I think people are like a little bit scared of having a fridge full of vegetables.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we're a product of our environment, right? If you set your environment up to be conducive to your goals, the chances are your goals are going to be that bit easier to achieve. I think
Yeah,
that's a good way of looking at it. And I think another good way as well is, I agree pretty much with everything you said there. I try and say, right, I'm going to make sure I actually buy foods that I enjoy eating. So I think a lot of people do this in a lot of aspects. So they feel like if I have to suffer through my food choices, it's going to be more effective. And it's a really like weird phenomenon that I like find. So people think like, right, well, like I've got a meal prep because that's what people do. So I'm going to make sure I prepare all of my food in advance for the next 5 days. But by the time you get to that fifth day, that bit of broccoli sitting in a Tupperware, sweaty and horrible, is going to be like absolutely disgusting. Don't like put yourself through something unnecessarily. So make sure you're buying foods that you like. If you like to cook fresh, go for it. Make sure that you've got foods that are easy to prepare that fit within your time constraints, and just make it as easy as possible for yourself. And also try to also remember that if you, yes, it might seem like at the moment we've all perhaps overindulged over Christmas, or just enjoyed some foods which we perhaps wouldn't normally enjoy, and then you get to January and you feel like, well, I need to cut them out completely now. Maybe sometimes that isn't always the best policy, and you might actually find that your cravings are that bit stronger for having completely cut this kind of stuff out, and actually just allowing yourself permission to eat the foods that you enjoy, alongside, of course, having some, like you say, nice protein sources, starchy carbs, vegetables, just to try and get yourself having a little bit of balance.
yeah, of course. And like we just said at the very beginning of the episode, getting out and walking take a bit of pressure off your diet because every walk we do like sometimes 4 miles up to town, and it's on a bit of a slope, and it's I don't know how many calories you're burning in a walk like that, but a few hundred, and you get back, and that's a little treat that you can eat if you want to have sort of a calorie free bit of food or whatever, and that's the key. The number of times I've spoken to people and they feel like they've got to go, as you say, cold turkey on a diet, and I'll just go, right, what are you eating and drinking on an average day? And they'll just go, well, I'm having a couple of cans of Coke, I'm having a couple of chocolate bars, a couple of bags of crisps. Okay, we'll just have one can of Coke, one chocolate bar, one bag of crisps, and then substitute for like something that is going to be decent for you. So have some carrot sticks and hummus, have whatever it is, just find yourself a substitute that is a little bit more nutrient dense, and you can still treat. And actually, at the end of the month, you've had half of the shit food that you were previously eating. And then if you combine that with going out for a walk, take the dog out, take the kids out 3-4 miles every day, or as many times a week as you can, you're essentially gonna gonna burn huge amount more calories than you are at the end of the month. You're going to be consuming a lot less, and the calories you are consuming are going to be better for you. So even with very, very small changes like that, that aren't going to put a massive dent in, like you say, your sort of like how you feel about your food, the way you feel like you're restricting your diet, they're going to benefit you massively, and they're not hugely difficult changes to make. And the most important thing is they're sustainable. So you're not going to suddenly go, right, I'm going to go on a massive binge again. You're less likely to do that. So yeah, make little changes, but make them consistently every day. That's probably the biggest thing you can do to get yourself back on track if you feel like you've slipped off a little bit, which most of us have in December.
Yeah, of course, and that's absolutely fine. We don't need to be absolutely saintly in our behaviour all the time. But I don't think anyone really is. Some people are a little bit better at adopting balance than others, whether that's through choice or whether it's due to mental state or whatever it might be. But it does, it's the boring answer, but the middle ground tends to be the best place to be at trying to do your best to adopt that balance.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I'm out of questions. Are you?
I have got two more, and one is perfect to finish on. So I'll do this other one first. So, how do you maintain muscle mass with all the running volume that you do? I think this might have been a bit of a repeat of the one we did in our first episode, but we'll just go for it quickly again. So, making sure that if your goal is to maintain muscle mass along with increasing your running, is making sure that you just do all that you can in order to actually to maintain your muscle mass. So if you were to just sack off weight training altogether, yes, you're going to expect to lose some muscle mass. However, you can retain muscle mass on surprisingly low training volumes. So as long as you're not expecting to gain a lot, you probably can maintain muscle mass with like 5 working sets per week of a particular body part. And also making sure that you are not perhaps doing more running volume than you need to progress. So a big thing that my coach puts in place for me for my running and my weight training is to make sure that he puts the minimum amount possible in order to progress into my program. So for example, if 50 kilometers of running per week is doing the job, why is he going to make me do 70? There's no real point in having that additional 20 kilometers in there because I'm making great progress on the lower volume, not putting as much stress on my body. It's not taxing my ability to perform other tasks. So therefore it's the perfect balance. Also making sure that you're eating enough calories, you're prioritizing your recovery as a variable as well. So it's not just all about getting the training in. It's also about making sure you're recovering from said training. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much the general crux of it. And anything you reckon you could add to that?
No, not particularly. No, basically.
No,
Cheers.
that's cool. No, I think that's the way to go. Is literally just to say, right, it's very difficult to ride 2 horses with one horse. Like it's really hard to have 2 separate goals and really excel at them. But
Yeah,
there are things you can do to, it's that word again, to get the balance right between the two. And
yeah,
I have to say, like I always knew it was possible, but I am surprised at how well, with Johnny's coaching and guidance, how well I've managed to progress in both aspects, even though they're seemingly at completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Performing well in running and performing well in the gym too.
but it is,
So
but
it
it
can
is
be done.
it can be done, but it is also it must be worth noting. It is hard work what you're doing. Like as in, I'm seeing the sessions you're doing on a regular basis, and it's not for the faint-hearted. So if you're serious about progressing in both, you need to understand like what you're getting yourself into because you're particularly mentally strong. You're very physically strong. I would say you're a very very good athlete all round. So you've worked hard, I know, and you've been very very disciplined with it. So yeah, if someone was serious about that, then I would kind of expect them to be a serious trainer at a decent level. That's just not going to happen for every single person out there, if I'm honest.
No, absolutely. But I think that everyone has a threshold of what they can tolerate. So there'll be people who can't tolerate as much training volume as me and like be up for it as much as me. But there are also going to be just as many people who can do better than I can and handle more. I think it's all about trying to personalize what you're doing And if you struggle to do that yourself, and not look to hire a coach. It's what I do for a living, yet I've still outsourced it onto someone else. I think it's that important. Yeah, I think that's the best way of going about it. And then, look, last question, which I think is a really good way of rounding off, because I think we're near the hour mark now. What are your goals for 2021?
My goals. Oh my god. Do you want to go first? Have you thought about this?
Uh, yeah, I mean, so if you break it into different parts, goal
Yeah.
number one, be able to see my family properly again. And I know that's
Nice.
obviously something which is very much out of our control right now, but that would be a fantastic thing to tick off in 2021, having like barely seen them at all throughout last year. And then from work point of view, I want to get back into the point where the gym is reliably operational again. Yeah, we've been over the past 12 months, we've been open shut, very unsettling. I'd love to be in a position to get the gym open again. And as a new business, it's great to be able to thrive rather than just surviving. So at the moment, it is just a case of survival. You're relying on not doing what you originally intended to do. So, for example, I'm doing a lot of my sessions PTing over FaceTime and Zoom, and it's great because that technology is there and it's enabling me to work. But it's probably not the majority of my clients' first choice of method of training. So it'd be great to get back to seeing people in person again and doing what we're meant to be doing. And then third, I'd say training wise, I'd love to be able to hit this 666 challenge at some point in 2021. I think, as we said in the first podcast, or maybe the second one, whichever it was, it's not necessarily about, ticking off said goal. It's also about really, taking pride and enjoying the journey and the process. But it would be great to really get myself into as best a position as possible to give that challenge a good crack.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Awesome.
And then, yeah, what would you say for yourself? You got anything you want to get achieved in this year?
Yeah, specifically working on a documentary with a boxer called Carl Frampton at the moment. So we've got it. He's got a big fight. Well, we think probably March. So I'm sort of filming at the moment with him, and I guess just trying to work around the challenges of now being in lockdown, how we're going to do that. But yeah, I've got to produce that. It's going to be 5 episodes by March. So that's going to take me through the first quarter of the year. I just want to make it as good as possible because he's a brilliant guy, and I think with documentaries and films, you can actually tell a story about who a person is, and it's my job. It's like being the artist painting a canvas. It's my job to put that story together with everything that we film and create something that shows him to be the person that he is. So I hope that's something I can get done in the time frame we've got with all the constraints that we've got upon us, and look back and be proud of it. It's going to help to kind of launch our business because we've got like YouTube channels and things set up, but they're a little bit dormant at the moment just because of everything going on. I have this real like desire to get back to commentating on live boxing with a crowd there, and I think I took that for granted. And having sat and called fights with just no one in the room, it's been horrible. And you actually realise how much you rely on people to create the atmosphere for you and to guide you as to when are the big moments, when are the lulls, and actually taking that for granted perhaps before. So just it's not really a personal goal because I don't have any control over it, but I'm just really looking forward to sitting down hopefully one night this year with a full arena of people and really looking around and taking it in and really appreciating it and calling a big fight and thinking, yeah, I've enjoyed every single moment of this, rather than just occasionally going through the motions and getting in that familiar groove that we sometimes do when everything's good. And then training wise, just want to get back to lifting properly. As you know, I've had a few injuries the last couple of years, and I feel I've gone back to basics in the last 12 months because I've had to, and slowly but surely just making that steady progress, not getting ahead of myself. Everything we've talked about these last few episodes, just gentle progressive overload and getting back to squatting properly, deadlifting properly, and getting back to a decent level of strength and fitness. And it's kind of a 6-month plan. So by the summer, I want to look at the numbers and think, yeah, that's where I want to be. So I think, yeah, those are the 3. But also this year, managing your expectations. Been a tough year last year, and I think this year we've got to just try and stay positive, try and make sure that every day is, not looking too far forwards and just being thankful for what you've got today, being grateful for what you've achieved and where you've come, and then making the most of whatever gets thrown at us in the next 2 or 3 months, and just trying to enjoy it, mate, because we don't have a lot of control over the next quarter of a year, maybe half a year, do we?
No, exactly. I think that's the thing. Is just keep focusing on putting one foot in front of the other, making positive steps forward in the knowledge that we will get there eventually. But it's anyone's guess as to when that's actually going to be. So you might as well, as you very well put, take stock and just try and enjoy and be grateful for what you got going on now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, we'll try and get out and go for a walk tomorrow, shall we, mate?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. I reckon. Bit of,
Beautiful.
bit of a Friday afternoon stroll.
Yeah, lovely. All
Nice.
right, mate. Nice. Well,
Cool.
thanks, JB. Thanks everyone for listening as well. We will hopefully have a couple of guests on in the next month or so. We're just working on people, but I think if they come off, there'll be people that you'll be quite excited to hear from. So yeah, we'll have more information on that soon. We'll try and record another one of these in a couple of weeks. So yeah, keep well, everyone. Have a good positive January. Get out, get walking, get moving.
Absolutely. Agreed. So yeah, guys, happy New Year to everyone again, and we'll speak to you all soon.
Nice one. Take care, guys.